Hello, welcome to Studio Pixel. This is the second lesson of the basics of Maya series, and I hope that the first one you have already gone through, and this will actually we are going to start from the basic models uh, by using the primitives which is available in Maya. Now I have already shown you how to navigate the viewport, so it might happen that while doing it I might not mention all of the tool sets again and again, but I will try my level best to mention them when I'm using them. But still I would recommend that you go through the first video first and then come to this one if you are absolutely new into Maya. So let's start. Okay, so they said uh, it's a say in 3D world that everything is starting from a uh, cube or box, or every model can be start from this cube, which is kind of true, and that's why the primitives are very important to start with. So uh, before going to the complex modeling in any 3D software, it's better to start with the primitives one. So where we can get the primitives, we can get from create menu, polygon. I'm going to use polygon as I've already told you that this is the major mode of modeling that people used to use nowadays. So I would like to use the polygon itself. Okay, so I can go to polygon primitives, or we can use this shelf editor and the polymodeling shelf, and we can create a polyview by clicking on this. Now there will be a lot of techniques which I'm going to show you right now, which may not be very much useful in future, or technically some ways might be wrong, but just ignore those things and just try to follow what I'm doing right now, as you are absolutely a newbie in this particular software. So I recommend you to just follow the steps for the time being, so that creating these objects will help you to get into this environment of this particular software. And once you get having your confidence in the viewport navigation, in the objects creation and editing them, then we can move into the more complex and more authentic way of creating a particular model. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll first try to create a table. Now for that, what I'm going to do is I'm hitting spacebar and going to the for viewport, because this is very important for a new person to start with. So I'm going to the scale tool, or maybe you can hit R. So the shortcut for the move, rotate and scale is W, E and R. W for move, E for rotate and R for scale. So what I'm going to do is, from the top viewport, I'm going to increase the length, increase the scale of this entire object. So just ignore the other viewports right now. I'm just going to increase it till I'm getting satisfied. Now from the front and side, you can see as I have increased it universally in the center, from the center of this gizmo, it's got increase in all direction. But a tabletop is not going to be something like that. So what I can do is we can reduce from either side or from front the height. I've already told you that these can be controlled from the channel box itself. You can see when I'm actually increasing or decreasing the values, the channel box is actually also changing the values over here. So that's it. This table I want a little bit of rectangular shape, so I'll just squeeze it from the top view, and that's it. So this is something which I got, and what I do is by hitting W, go to the move tool and pull it up a little bit. Though it looks a little bit complex while creating very simple things, but it will going to ease out and once you get a little handy with the software, and you might not be even required for other three viewports. Like if you go to the perspective, you don't need the other views, and you can create them in a perspective view itself, like by increasing the size, then decreasing the height, then increasing or decreasing the length, and then push it on to the up. But the problem is I have already habituated with this particular software, and my hands are very much capable of understanding what the changes I'm actually looking for. But you who are starting up for the first time, you might not be feel something like that, and that is absolutely okay. And don't feel intimidated by this particular actions by any of the senior people or any of the senior artists who are doing, or whenever when you are watching a particular tutorial where you see, oh my god, that person is so fast, so doing things so smoothly and all these things. So please try to ignore all those things, because right now you are in a student level, and everybody, even when I started my learning of these softwares, I was very nervous and shaky, and I take a lot of time to move around and doing very simple stuff, very simple stuff in the software. But later on, once I got habituated with the software, I my speed usually go up, and I get to know all the little tricks and all to handle them in a very short way. So yeah, let's get back to the foreview. Now I want my table stands to be cylindrical. So what I'll do is I'll create one cylinder. Now you can see that my cylinder is in from top viewport. It is actually hidden by my object, because my object is the box, or the cube is actually above the cylinder. So what I can do is I can use 4, and so that my viewport turn into a wireframe view, and I can see them. And now again, what I can do is I'm going to scale a little down so that the radius can be reduced, and then I can increase my height with this. Now all these things can be done with another way. Like when you are actually creating a primitive object, you can go to the input nodes over here, and you can reduce the radius by reducing this particular value and increasing the height from here. Now how I am doing this, you can do a lot of different way. One is by selecting these menus and middle mouse and click dragging left and right. Another one is, which Maya's latest version actually got, is just click or just hover on this particular values, and you can just click and drag with your left mouse, just like a slider, but not exactly like a slider, but you just have to increase it, and it will be feeling like a slider. So these are very interesting way to calculate, but I personally feel that yeah, scale tool is better to start with, though a lot of modeling artists will maybe differ this particular thing. Okay, anyway, so now I have my one stand ready. Now the problem is, if I have to start from scratch, let's say I have to create another cylinder, I have to make all the scale values, or maybe if I'm changing from a radius and height, everything has to be copied. Otherwise my 4 stands will be completely different than each other. So that uh, will be something which will be really difficult job for me. So here comes the short ways to achieve these things. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate my object. Now this is a very interesting one. Now duplicating things will create an identical copy of your object into your scene. So what I'm going to do is, how can we do that? Just hit Control D, and yes, you are already got your duplicate. So you can see now why I'm setting this from top viewport is having another reason. That is that I'm not going to missing my alignment. If you can see from the other viewports, like if you see Control D, and then if we drag into the one only axis, and you can see this is really easy to maintain the alignment of my two stands of one side. So this is really helpful. So now click and drag and select both of them, again Control D, and drag it to the other side, and great, you have your table ready. Now this is, you can say it's okay. It's okay, but there is nothing fancy about it. Yeah, this is not a very fancy kind of a table, but I believe this is something which you should start with. I mean, this is really important to understand the viewport navigations and all. Now, let's make a little bit of a different kind of a model rather than making only primitives or I mean just a few, one or two objects. Just play a little bit with them, how we can do that. So yes, we can do a quick model of a chair also, which will actually help you guys out. Perspective, I generally used to see the entire scene, how the scene is actually going. Apart from that, I not recommend you to work in the perspective view until unless you are sculpting or something, which will eventually come in future. But yeah, so again, I'll just increase the size of this, and you can make out a, sorry, my bad. I can understand this is really when you got to know all those tools and all. What I can do is I can create another, oops, cool. Now you can see uh, in the uh, front view it's looking like it's in the same position, but it's actually not. So you have to work on the, at least for two orthographic viewport to achieve this. And I think the height is fine. Fantastic. Now Control D. Great. Now what I will do is I'll make a duplicate of this one, though this is nothing to do with my duplicate. What I will do is I will use a rotation. Now for rotation, this is another trick which you can use is by either by manually rotating. You can type it over here like -90 to make the chair. This is really going to be a very bad looking chair, trust me. Anyway, but this is going to help you guys out into understanding the viewport and the navigation of your objects, how to control them, how to a little bit higher. Perfect. What you're going to do is you can rotate this particular chair, this back of the chair is a little bit. So yeah, so this way, I mean, yes, this is a very awful looking chair, but these primitive objects will help you to make yourself confident about the navigation of this particular software. This is something which is really important. A lot of people say that, you know what, don't waste your time into this simple stuffs, start creating the complex one. it will take anyway time, so why you are wasting your time? You're wasting your time not into the modeling. Now this is absolutely not a very good model, but these are the elements which is going to improve your confidence in the software that we are going to handle. So this is really important, this is really necessary. Okay, so please do not ignore these exercises. You I would rather ask you to do a lot of basic models, because that will give you a lot of different kind of idea that what kind of geometry that we are working on, what are the basic shape of these ideas. And further, when you improve your modeling skills, you will see that all those basic models actually help you out to understand the shape, understand the the difference between two objects, the comparative scaling, and all those things will be way more easier than jump into a complex modeling and start doing something which is really complex in nature. So okay, so these two objects. Now let me show you something else, maybe a little bit of interesting things, and not only the box are there, but you know what? If you have an idea, or you know idea of your model, then I would recommend you to first start those kind of model with by using very primitive object like box, cylinder, and this thing, uh, sphere. I recommend you to see a short film called The Adventure of Andre and it's a very Pixar's very old this one short film when they were actually starting up, and all the characters, if you see, are made up of very primitive objects like sphere, cylinder, cone, and all these 3 4 type of objects, and they created a very beautiful character out of it. So it's not necessary that you have to know a very complex thing everywhere. So you can achieve a lot of different models by making by using very simple primitive geometrical shapes. So yeah, even if you see the famous character of Mickey Mouse, that is also is actually made up of very simple geometrical shape, nothing more than that. Okay, so let's move all these things a little bit away, and or maybe I can delete them. Yeah, great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a specific shape which actually have been in my mind, and I hope you will like it. So this will be something like this. Great. And I'm going to uh, okay, control D for duplicate, and now I'm going to scale them. Oh, now here I have a small plan, and I'm going to show you some really cool uh, tips of duplication. Now, yep. Now, let's suppose this is a platform. Okay, I'll just hit this option called wireframe on shaded. There is a reason for turning it on, because sometimes what happened, you can mix all the uh, objects because of the basic lighting in the viewport. So I really sometimes like turning it on while working. Okay, so now I want these as some pillars of this structure, you know so what I'm going to do is I need to duplicate them to a certain way. Now the problem is, certain way means, let's suppose one will be there, another one duplicate will be over here, and another one will be duplicate over here. But the problem is, the architecture need to be also be clean. Like, I mean, it should be a little bit of perfect way. I mean, it cannot be haphazard. One thing, one of the pillar cannot be just a little bit ahead of them, or maybe a little bit back of them. That is not possible. So that is not acceptable at all. So how can we achieve that? Let's do something really interesting. Now, uh, if I duplicate with Control D, what I'm going to see is it's duplicating, but it's not changing its position. Now this is really a interesting one. Uh, for that, we have to go to Edit and Duplicate Spatial. Now this is something really interesting. Here I have uh, three options. Like, I can translate them, I can rotate them, I can scale them while duplicating. This is a really interesting option in Maya, which actually can help us a lot of time. So if I say that, you know what, I want my duplication to be happen in every 2 units. Great. In the x-axis, this is the x-axis, and I want the number of copies to be 3. And if I say hit duplicate spatial, you can see 3 duplicate copies happened in every 2 unit. If you can see this one, this is my 1 unit of the x-axis, 2, so it will be 0, then 1 2 1 2, then after that another one. So the 3 copies has been made while maintaining that particular distance. Now here is small problem in this. If I hit Control D and then move, which is not actually possible over here in by using only Control D. But I want them in a circular manner, so I can use rotate option, right? Let's go. Now if we use rotate in any axis, let's suppose this is the y-axis which we are going to use, if I'm not wrong. Yes, this is the y-axis on top of which we want to rotate, but we are going to face a certain problem. Like, okay, now y-axis rotation is 360. Okay, and I want my duplication happen like 5 copies, and if I hit enter, nothing happened. But there are objects over there. What is going on over here? Why my objects are still there, and yet they are not placed according to the circular place? Well, there is a reason behind that. Let me go back to that. Okay, now the reason is the pivot point of the object is within that particular object. I mean, within that object itself. But while I need to rotate according to this particular point, so what I have to do is I have to move this particular pivot point away from this object and bring this to the center of this particular platform. So this is something really interesting one. So how we can do that? Now for that, what we can do is we have to use the insert button. So where that generally happened is if you turn off your num lock and hit the key 0, you can see your object's pivot point change, and in such a way that moving your pivot point does not affect your object to move. This is really important one. Again, you have to turn off your num lock and you have to hit insert. So this is really important, which is generally happen in into your numpad in 0 of the numpad. So then again, if you hit int, then and again you can turn on the num lock on. So this is something which you need to understand very carefully. So now my object is over there, but the pivot point is somewhere else. Why I have done this? The reason is, if I rotate now this object, I'm rotating on the basis of this particular point. Now let's go to the duplicate spatial option, 360, and I need 5, maybe 6 option. Sorry, I made something wrong. Okay, now either we can go to duplicate spatial, or what we, oh sorry, edit, redo, yeah, okay. So or what we can do is just hit rotate, control D, and after that you just rotate it to a certain amount, and then hit shift D. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Done. Now you can see that has been precisely, placed on those positions. Now this is something really interesting. Now what is happening is, by control D, I'm setting up a particular parameter, and then by pressing shift D, I'm just repeating that particular behavior. Now that is actually called the duplicate with transform that I have used, that is called shift D. Now you can use the other option called I got that. The reason is I put it at 360 value. So what is happening is, it's taking 360 and putting it placing it on top of it. So that's why I was making that's why the duplication is not happening. So let's suppose I need to rotate it in every 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 copies I have to make. Okay, so that's complex math. I would rather use like 20 degrees, and I copy them to, like, suppose 10 maybe. So no, so 36 degree, and let's make copy of 10, so that we sum it up in 360. Yeah, great. So yeah, I'm good at math. Okay, so now this is the way you can do from the duplicate spatial option. I actually mix it up with another software. Trust me guys, that is how, if I'm not too wrong, 3ds Max having this option. Like, either you can sum it up the entire value, the entire rotation value, or you can divide it into the individual rotation. Yeah, I think that's in 3ds Max. Okay, anyway, so this is how it's gonna work. So how many divisions that you are going to, how many number of copies you want, and into into the degrees. So let's suppose I want 20 copies, then it will be 18 if I'm not wrong, right? So let's delete everything again. 20, and this become 18. Yeah, great. So this is something really, yeah. Okay, so now I want to duplicate this one. Control D and put it over there. Now I'm just used space bar, don't worry about it, you know. So this is nothing, this is absolutely nothing. So you can see I have created one uh, Roman sort of architecture. Now I want to make the tomb on top of it. Okay, bring it over there, increase the scale. Okay, now I have a problem. Now I have tomb, but the problem is this is not uh, I cannot use it. I mean, I want to cut it into half. Now that is a little complex, but I can still achieve that with my primitive options. Now if we go to Control A and go to Polysphere 1, you won't see to reduce the number of the this uh, the you cannot make it to the hemisphere. Okay, this is something really interesting. So if you go to create a polygon and option box, okay, so you cannot actually uh, make it or turn it into a hemisphere. This is something which you will feel that you are stuck. And yes, to be honestly speaking, not every primitive will give you a certain amount of uh, limitation in their primitive stage. So what we can do is we actually have to go into the sub-object level and delete the half portion of it. Now how we can do that? I'm just showing it you in a very basic way, and I will again going to introduce you these things in future, but for the sake of this particular model, I need to touch all those options. So right click on the object and you can see a lot of different options. I will choose face. Now what will going to happen is I individually select the face, and I can select half of it and hit delete, and then right click, go to the object mode. Now what is that? What was that? Those are the sub object level. Now sub object level will actually divide into your base of your entire base of the I mean the base material of a compound objects. So I'll just uh, scale down a little, and then what I will do is I'll put them on top of it. Wow, this is something when you are doing for the first time. Yes, so this is how you can use the primitive object, and yet can keep create a particular a complex structure for your scene or design. So hope you enjoy this. We will dig into the other modeling tools to creating complex in the coming lessons. Thank you very much. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel for the further videos.